Shalom. I'd like to start off giving all praise, glory, and honor be to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakaha, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, better known as GMS, who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect, the tabernacle of David, beginning with 144,000, and the rest of the men, women, and children out of the 12 tribes whom Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai will have mercy upon. I'm your brother Matazabath, reporting from the branch of Great Millstone, Melbourne, Australia. And this is going to be a second attempt re-upload of a video that I had uploaded last night, but I seem to have some audio issues whilst recording the lesson that I've done. So this is just going to be a part two, which I am responding to a comment by this gentleman who goes by the YouTube handle It's Unique or Unico 7470. Now this comes via way of him responding to what he deems as my current calendar, which is not my calendar. It's the calendar of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And he seems to allege the fact that pertaining to the book of Psalms, the 81st chapter, and particularly the 3rd verse, you have the word where it says, blow up the trumpet on the new moon. He states that definition given when you look up the Strong's Concordance is the incorrect definition. All right. Now I'm going to read his comment, and then we're going to go into the precept that he's alluding to, and then we're going to get some edification. Lord's will, this lesson is edified. Now, his comment states, sorry for the paragraph. I definitely appreciate the video. I came from your current calendar, and here's a few things wrong. Kodesh, or pronounced in the Lashawan Kodash, Chadash, the so-called word for the new moon, is incorrect. If you go to the new moon and click the interlinear concordance and click on Kodesh or Strong's H2320 and go to the Strong's definition and read, it even tells you the new moon. By implication, a semicolon is important in that sentence, hence its relation to the previous section. New moon was an insertion. Kodesh etymological definition is moon or new month. Now, I can stop right there because he pretty much cut himself there, breaking down the insertion, all right, which proves that when the scholars did the translation, they understood that the Hebrews, they went by a lunar calendar, which the word lunar goes back to the word moon, which the word moon is interchangeable with the word month. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Continuing on, it says they were able to create the definition due to the hyphen and vowels added to the word. The correct word for new moon is Yarah Kadash, all right, which when you break it down, Yarah, which I believe is Strong's H3394, the Yarah means moon, and Kodesh, it means, when we look it up, a month or new moon, but you also have to go into the etymology of the root word, or Kodesh. It says, not found in the Bible nor original text. It says Yarah, which I already explained, Strong's H3394, etymological meaning moon. Kodesh meaning new, all right, which you can say that, but I'll explain it in a minute to show you why he's getting this. It says there was a lot of insertion. The cause is irrelevant. Shay Zucker, a Hebrew scholar for Tellet University, will show you the real definition. 4.5 moon section as well. You can search it up, and then he leaves the actual link for me to search it up. Now, here's the thing, and see, a lot of times this is what Jake does. Now, the Wada Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, first and foremost, for giving me the inspiration and the spirit to do this lesson. And the Wada Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, for the beloved apostles, bishops, and elders of mainly Great Millstone, that always taught us that the teachings that they have given us, beginning with the beloved elder apostle Tahar on down, they always taught us that anything that they brought out in terms of historical facts, everything that links up to the prophecies written in the scriptures, don't always take their word for it, but to be studious and to put on our scholar hat which the word scholar means to a student and to study. All right. And as it mentions in Acts the 17th chapter, when Paul went to the church of Berea, when the Bereans, when they heard the gospel being preached, they didn't just take Paul's words for it. They actually went and searched the scriptures to see whether those things were true or not that was being preached. OK, now this individual, I do admire your willingness to call out and to say that, you know, to read this Hebrew scholar. But see, a lot of times you have to trust in the spirit. And the scripture says, through thy precepts, I get understanding. Therefore, I hate every false way. OK, so let's go to Psalms 81:3 to get the true understanding. Now, it says here, blow up the trumpet in the new moon in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. OK, now we're going to go into the interlinear concordance just as he did. And we're going to go to where it says in the new moon, which really, when you look it up here, it says Ba Hagdash, okay, which Ba meaning in, okay, Hadash, the new moon, okay. So as you can see here, you have, now they pronounce it in the Yiddish, Chodesh, right? Now the outline of biblical usage says the new moon, comma, month, comma, monthly. A, the first day of the month. B, the lunar month. Now, what's interesting is when you read the KJV translates Strong's H2320 in the following manner. When this word is being used in the Hebrew, it can be interpreted month 254 times. It can be interpreted new moon 20 times, or monthly one time, or the word another one time, depending on the context. OK, now the Strong's definition, which is what he pointed out in his comments. Let's read it. It says Strong's definition, Kodesh, from Strong's H2318, which is the root etymology, which we're going to go into in a sec. But it says the new moon, which he claims that this is the wrong insertion. It says by implication, a month. And then it has the semicolon, which he also mentioned, monthly new moon. Now, what he needs to understand is that the word moon and month are interchangeable. They come from the same root word. OK, so the scholars knew, based off the study of words, all right, that the word month and moon, they're interchangeable. It's not that they created the definition by wrongly inserting it. No, this is the correct insert of what the word truly means. Now, when you go to the root definition, OK, Hadash, OK, that means to be new or renew, because we know every month when the moon cycles, OK, which is around 29 days, sometimes 30 days. All right. You always have the new moon comes in every month. And it's not that the moon is always new. No, it renews itself. It's refreshed. That goes back to the root word. OK, so when you go back, its original meaning, Kodesh, it can mean the new moon or the new month or monthly, which really anytime the new moon comes in, it represents the first day of the month. And anybody can look this up. Matter of fact, we're going to do this. I'm come over here and let's look up, and I'm going to do this on the fly. Hebrew calendar based off the moon cycle. Right now it says the Ish calendar, which really should be Israelite calendar, is lunisolar, i.e. regulated by the positions of both the moon and the sun. And it consists usually of 12 alternating lunar months. All right, which I done a video going into this because the last video that I done off that same individual who left me a comment, he argued that the calendar was all over the place, or the new moons, I shall say, were all over the place because we had 13 months, which I've proven that was incorrect. We don't have 13 months. We actually have 12 months. So it says it consists usually of 12 alternating lunar months of 29 and 30 days. Okay. And you can look this up even further, but let's see what else they have here. All right. Check this out. It says, what is the Hebrew calendar based on? In contrast to the solar Gregorian calendar, the Ish calendar follows the moon. It says a new moon singles a new month. Okay. It says, and 29.5 days later, the next new moon in its month comes. Okay. The word moon and month, they're based upon the same root. Okay. Now, what do I mean by that? Based upon the same root? Well, this is from Wiktionary.org. Okay. Now, the word that we're focusing on is the word up here highlighted, month. Okay. Now, it says here in the etymology, from the Middle English month or moneth, from Old English monoth, which means month. Okay, from Proto-West Germanic monoth, from Proto-Germanic monopis, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Month from Proto-Indo-European meneh, moon or month. Okay, probably from the Proto-Indo-European meh, which means to measure, referring to the moon's phases as the measure of time, equivalent to moon. Okay, they're synonymous with one another. All right, so now let's get a little bit more understanding on this. Now, I went and looked up Rosh Kodesh, okay, or Ra'ash Hadash. It says beginning of the month, okay. Head of the month is a minor holiday observed at the beginning of every month in the Hebrew calendar. That's why they blew the trumpet, which also speaks about that within our law. And we'll get it right after this, Lord's will. It says marked by the birth of a new moon, Ra'ash Kadash. Okay, that will be the correct way of saying it in the Lashon Kodash. Okay, so this holiday was observed every beginning of the month. Okay. And remember, the scriptures tells us when you go back to Genesis real quick, Genesis 1:14, it says in the KJV, in the powers said, which when you go into the word God in the Hebrew is Alahayim, which is plural for gods, judges, angels, rulers. Right. So the correct way of reading this should be in the powers said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. Now, when you deal with the month or the word moon, all right, let's go to the Apocrypha very quickly, and let's go to Sirach chapter 43. And the point is at verse 8, but we're going to start at verse 6. And it says, he made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. Okay, so the Hebrews, or the Hebrew Israelites, I should say, based their calendar system off the lunar cycle. Okay, and the moon, okay, was a declaration for time. So meaning we will base the moon upon our feast and also upon our Sabbaths. Okay, which we're going to prove in this lesson. It says, verse 7, from the moon is the sign of feast. You see that? The moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. But here's the point, verse 8, the month is called after her name. So when I said originally at the start of the lesson that the words month and moon, they're synonymous with one another, that is to say that that's where the word month comes from. It comes from the word moon. And we read that in the etymology. So when you say that, going back to Psalms 81, Salakia, in verse 3, that the scholars, they wrongfully inserted that definition. They didn't wrongfully insert none, because that's exactly what the definition means. Moon and month are synonymous with one another in terms of they come from the same root. You see, and the scriptures backs it up. The month is called after her name. So we don't need to go to a Edomite scholar, okay, to trust in what the scriptures already gives you. All right. The Bible tells you, seek ye out of the book and read. OK, that's in Isaiah, the 34th chapter, man. OK, so now that we got that understanding, all right, let's come back here and let's get an example of the law. Let's go to Leviticus 23rd. All right. And let's see. Let me take this off real quick. Now, this is Leviticus 23rd chapter, verse 23. It says, and Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets and holy convocation. And ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. Now, in this translation, it says in verse 24 again, in the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month. Now, when you go into this, it's going to be the same Hebrew word, Chadesh, okay, or Chadash, Salakia, okay, which you have it here. There it is, which means the 1st day of the month, what determines the 1st day of the month? Let's Google that real quick if we can. What determines the 1st day of the month? Let's type that in. What determines the 1st day of the month? And there you have it. At the top, it says the mean solar day is the period used in the calendar computation. The month is determined by the moon's passage around the earth. And as in the case of the day, there are several ways in which it can be defined, right? Let's see here. Let's see what else they got. Let me see which one they have it here. And I'm just doing this off the fly to show you that a lot of this is really how you study. You got to look things up. All right, let's do it this way, because this ain't really giving me what I want. Let's type in. There it is right there. So I just typed in the ancient world, what determined the 1st day of the month. Now, this says here, history of calendars. It says the ancient Sumerian calendar, roughly dated to 2100 BC, divided a year into 12 lunar months of 29 to 30 days, which proves that we didn't have 13 months. It says each month began with the sighting of a new moon. There you go. Okay. And you know what? Let's do one better. I'm going to type in for Hebrew Israelites, what determined the 1st day of the month? Okay. Let's see here. Let's see. As you know, the Hebrew calendar is lunar based. That means the calendar needs to be calculated how long it takes for the moon to orbit the earth. It says in the Ish calendar, each new month begins with the Malad, which means birth in Hebrew. All right. Let's see what else they got here. See what else they got. All right, Hebrew calendar. Let's just look it up here. All right, so let's see. All right, Like other lunisolar calendars, the Hebrew calendar consists of months of 29 or 30 days, which begin and end at approximately the time of the new moon. All right. Here you go. I'm going to highlight it. All right. Right there. Originally, the beginning of each month was determined based on physical observation of a new moon, while the decision of whether to add the leap month was based on observation of natural agriculture related events in ancient Israel. So there you go. There's the proof in the pudding. The beginning of each month was determined based off the observation of a new moon. So we can conclude that when we go back here and we look up the first day of the month, all right, Hagdash or Kadesh in the Yiddish, that's what it means, the new moon. Okay, so by process of elimination, we can rule out that, no, this is not done by inserting a wrong definition. But in fact, this is the correct definition because a new month is determined by the new moon. OK, so when you read the passage, the scriptures is correct. In the first day of the month, what determines the first day of the month or the beginning of a month? The new moon. Let's get another precept. Let's go to Numbers chapter 10 and verse 10. It says, also in the day of your gladness and in your solemn days and in the beginnings of your months. All right. Now, the word beginnings goes back to, I believe, Ra'ash. OK, and that goes back to what I looked up. Ra'ash Kadash, the beginning of your months. All right. So let's read it again. Also in the day of your gladness and in your solemn days and in the beginning of your months, ye shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your power. I am Yahweh, your power. So at the beginning of every month, which is known as the new moon, we're supposed to have a solemn feast day. OK, we're supposed to blow the trumpets. Now, let's go to a different translation. And we're going to look up two translations. We're going to go to the DBY, the Darby translation, which says here, and in the day of your gladness and in your set feast and in your new moons, which we just broke down that the new moon determines the first day of the month. OK, both the word month and moon comes from the same root. You see? So in this translation, they translated it to new moon because the first or the beginning of months or the first day of the month is the same thing as saying the new moon. OK, they're interchangeable. It says, ye shall blow with the trumpets of your burnt offerings and over your sacrifices of peace offering, and they should be to you for a memorial before your power. I am the Most High. OK, let's get another one. Let's see here. There was one more. Yep. BES. It says, in the days of your gladness and in your feasts and in your new moons, ye shall sound with the trumpets at your whole burnt offerings and at the sacrifices of your peace offerings. And there shall be a memorial for you before your power. I am. OK, so even when you go into other translations, it's synonymous. It can either say in your new moons, or like this one in the NASB 20, it'll say also on the day of your joy and at your appointed feast, like in Psalms 81, and on the first days of your months, because we understand that the beginning of the month, OK, is synonymous with saying the new moon. OK, because going back to what we looked up, Wikipedia, originally the beginning of each month was determined based on physical observation of a new moon. So when we go back to Psalms, OK, 81 and 3, when it says blow up the trumpet in a new moon, he's essentially saying that that's the incorrect insertion of a definition. It should be Yorah Kadash, but it's not, because the word month comes from the word moon. Now, yes, when you look up, we'll type in moon, for instance, H3394. This is what comes up. I'm going to go to Genesis 37:9. And he dreamed yet another dream and told it to his brethren and said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. Now, he's saying that when you use the correct word moon, which this is what's tripping him out. All right. But see, those of us that are in the understanding, this is plain as day. Now, you have the word here, the Hebrew word Yerah. OK, which actually means moon. OK, it means moon. But it comes down to the context of what you're using it in. So in the context in Psalms 81, yes, it's referring to a month. But guess what? It can also be interchangeable with when it's referring to the first day of the month. It can be also considered as the new moon. That's all we're saying. So it is not a wrong insertion. And last but not least, before we close out, let's get this here. Let's see. Actually, let's go here and let's get this here. Now, this is from cipher.net. All right, which I had to look up on Psalms, the 81st chapter in the third verse. Now it says, enter Psalm 81:3, the only verse that has any capability of answering this issue. Here is the psalm in translated Hebrew. All right, you have Taqwa, Ba Kodesh, Shafar, Ba Kasa, Ayam, Chad. It says, let's take a look at that again. Taqwa, blow, Ba Kodesh, all right, Ba meaning in, Chodesh, which means Salakia. Ba Kodesh just simply means in the month, all right. Shofar, Ba Kasa, in the covering, Ayam, all right, our day, Chad, solemn feast. It says Chadash, however, can mean also the new moon. We just broke that down because that is when the month Kodesh starts. Why? Because it's known as the beginning of the month. And the beginning of the month was determined by the what? The new moon. This is not hard to understand. We don't need to go to some professor whose name he put here is Shay Zucker, all right, a Hebrew scholar from the Tel University, that's going to show us that this definition, all right, is a wrong insertion. No. The scriptures tells you that, man. Let me read that part again. It says Kodesh, however, can mean also the new moon, because that is when the month Kodesh starts. That is to say that it does not start on the full moon or the waning moon, but on the new moon. You see, how do you calculate the new moon? All right. So there you have it, man. So, you know, that's pretty much the basis to understanding that in Psalms 81 and verse 3, OK, the insertion of the definition new moon, month or monthly or representing the first day of the month is actually indeed correct. It is not incorrect. OK, so that's pretty much it. I'm going to wrap it up there. I pray that this lesson was edifying and to the elect of the nation of Israel, that you got a lot out of this and learned something new through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. So with that, giving all praise, glory, and honor be to Yahweh B'Hashem, Yahushua B'Hashem Rakaha Kodash. Double honors once again to the beloved apostles and elders of Great Millstone, better known as GMS, who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect, the Tabernacle of David. I'm your brother Montezaba, once again reported from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Melbourne, Australia. And I pray once again that this lesson was edifying. And with that, shalom.